Do you think that under a Kevin Rudd government we'll see less of the kind of antics of the Chubbs of the world?
No. I don't think bad employers will be bad employers under a Labor government. I don't think Labor government struck fear into the heart of employers to do the right thing. Their messages so far on work choices aren't that dissimilar to Howard, but if you maybe look in light of what's happened on the weekend, the election result, massive Your Rights at Work campaign, narrow wins to Labor in so many seats that can be attributed to Your Rights at Work campaign, Green preferences, and I think Australia was saying, get rid of work choices, don't replace it with anything other than a real fair go. So maybe that'll help us.
Apropos that issue, you're in the Herald Sun today. It's Wednesday, November 28. You're quoted at length, front page of the paper, expelled union boss, firebrand and the like. How do you respond to the article this morning?
Well, it must be a very quiet news day if a comment to a journalist asking, are you going to rejoin the ALP? And my response was, well, oh no, but a lot of people want me back and have asked me back and think that union secretaries of affiliated unions should be in it. Can turn into a story like that, but only in the Herald Sun, and to then go on to talk about Greg Combay, who I love and will miss from the ACT, who out of context is it's so typical.
Well, let's just go to the Combay comment. I mean, I've been with you at times. You've had a very good relationship with Greg Combay, and we know he was special on the Your Rights at Work campaign. Yeah. You talk about him being compromised. Can you explain to people what you meant?
The compromise from the journalist says, well, why didn't the union movement leap to your defence when ALP made the comments about you? They did, and put you through the ringer, as they did. And, they said that Combay had been an ally and a friend, which he has and is. But it's very difficult, and the compromise is that he's an ALP candidate. You've got the leader does X, well, he hasn't got much say in it. If he was ACTU secretary, I'm sure he would have had a lot of say in it, but he wasn't. So that was the compromise that we talked about, not as Greg Combay or his beliefs. I think the electorate of Charlton is very, very lucky to have him.
If you were fighting in the Parliament on work choices, what exactly would you do with it?
Well, the flippant line, we heard it from Beazley, we hear it from Rudd, is we'll rip up work choices. Well, so what? So what? What are you going to replace it with is the question, and I've been saying that for a long time. So I think you have to start with the fundamentals. Traditional ALP policy, the policy that the Labor Party took to the federal election before last was very, very good. It had been thrashed out with the union movement, thrashed out with the ALP, and it drew no heat. This last election, it was about interest rates. IR wasn't even an issue. This one, it's been all about IR. So I think that you've got to really look at what is good policy. Look at what the Australian electorate has said about rejecting work choices and don't replace it with something similar. So let's get rid of unfair dismissals. Let's give people the right to strike, the right to demonstrate, and get rid of the task force. That's a start.
You wouldn't have been the first person or the only person within the ALP who was suggesting a vote for the Greens in the Senate was a reasonable vote, were you?
Oh, no, I think I was one of many, and a growing number of people that understood the Senate campaign was important. And have a look at the ETU. Look at who we supported. Di Natale in Victoria didn't knock off an ALP senator. It is fighting to knock off a Liberal senator. Green senators Kerry Tucker in Canberra to knock off a Liberal senator. Green senators in Queensland and New South Wales, not to take away from Labor senators, nothing detracted from Labor's campaign in us supporting the Greens. Adam Band didn't beat Lindsay Tanner, was never going to.
But you did support him against Lindsay Tanner.
Absolutely.
Lindsay Tanner says to you, I'm from the left, Dean. What are you doing? Putting up blokes against me or supporting them? What's your answer?
The left. Well, that really puzzles me. Lindsay disappointed me, and he disappointed this union and a lot of unions when he made his comments in respect to questions asked about this union, and he said it was Labor's role to restrain strong unions and help weak unions. Well, that's, quite frankly, if that's left, then there is no left. It's gone. And people would argue that the ALP left is a diminished force anyway. But just for Lindsay Tanner to say that, it's very, very disappointing. Don't hold out to be a progressive lefty and come out with statements like that.
Are you going to catch up with Lindsay for a yarn?
Yeah, look, I like Lindsay Tanner. I'm not an anti-Lindsay Tanner person. I think he's been terrific, very intelligent bloke. He did great work with the unions. Just very disappointing to hear us whack us around like that in the media. And that he's unfortunately an ALP politician swept along in that ALP IR policy. And Adam Bank presented to our state council, and they made a decision to support him. It wasn't It wasn't my decision, but I will absolutely support every decision our State Council makes.
Would you sit more comfortably in amongst the Greens, given their IR policy?
I'm a traditional Labor bloke. I just guess that you hold on in the belief that it'll come back to those values, and in some ways there'll be a battle over the soul of the ALP. Has it got one, or is it a poll-driven organisation? That's been going on for some time, and I don't think my team's been winning that debate within the ranks of Labor. Yeah, look, I'm drawn to the policies of the Green because they've articulated true Labor values better than Labor, which is a bit sad.
On the environment, you've been talking with a company that's interested in producing an engine, what do we call it?
Generator.
A generator
Yeah.
for homes that might be revolutionary. It was reported in the Financial Review the other day. Do you want to give us a brief snapshot of that?
Yeah, ITMDI, Phil, which is a French company, has got an engine that basically runs on compressed air. I won't get into the technical aspects of the engine. Extremely exciting green technology. It runs on minimal fossil fuel and any type of fossil fuel, but ultimately we want to run that on solar and making it completely green. It has the potential to drive very quiet generator systems in home. It's not a heat producing engine, doesn't run on combustion. Its applications in terms of a home generator unit with being able to pump electricity back in the grid, run your homes carbon neutral in terms of the electrical stuff is fantastic. Rural applications, great technology, and the great thing about what ITMDI wants to do is manufacture those engines here in Australia, and we're hoping here in Victoria.
How do you respond to the Financial Review's comments about the impropriety or unusual fact that a union might be investing money in such enterprises?
What a ridiculous thing. I was very disappointed in that. To the only negative they can even try to come out and say, and I don't know why when unions do an article they feel someone has to come out and say something negative, to question whether we have the wisdom or the intellect to make investments. Well, this union's finances are very, very well run, and I'm very proud of that. And we have resources and assets that we've accumulated. We pump back into member benefits. No one does it like we do. So, maybe the bloke they got to comment would want to come down and have a cuppa and have a talk.
Well, it's a statement of fact that workers put money into super funds and super funds invest, don't they?
Correct. Yeah, we've made very, very good investment decisions. But the thing about investing in this technology, this generator set, is it's not just work in manufacturing, it's not just good for the environment, but it's a whole chance for ETU members to work in it. We don't want to employ them, but it's real work for our members.
Is there a new skill regime possible here, do you think?
Yeah, it's a real separate training program for Sparkies to reconnect supply and pump back into the grid. There's training courses. We're across that. Graham Watson for the electrical electronics training companies looking at training programs, partnerships with RMIT. We're very passionate about green training. It's an area in 2009. It's one of the greater membership initiatives, along with a few others that we could talk about that we want to unleash.
And finally, did you wake up on Sunday morning after 11 years of John Howard feeling like you were a different person?
I woke up on Sunday morning nervous that I'd have to face Merv Hughes at Footscray Oval in a charity cricket match.
That aside.
No, I didn't. It was, look, I woke up on Sunday morning and reflected back that, I've been secretary and nearly all that time, bar a few months, John Howard's been the Prime Minister and been out to hunt the likes of us down, particularly those of us that stick our head up a bit and do a bit. I was wrapped on Sunday morning looking back for Mike Simon in Deakin, how hard he worked, how so many other unionists work, how good the Your Right to Work campaign was, and sat back and thought, real challenge now to get the best deal we can. So I'm kind of pretty excited about having a change of government and some good opportunities to make a few gains.
Dean, good to talk with you.
Good on you, Philip.